Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of This That. Oh wait, Joey's not here. It's just me doing this intro. This is This, That, and the Other with Joey and Ian. It's just Ian right now. Joey's out doing some stuff. So, we are very excited to bring you an interview with our friend Anthony Nardone, aka Mostly Okay on Instagram. You might have seen his videos floating around on social media platforms. He had a video recently that went kind of viral, and by kind of viral, I mean he's sitting at about 2 million plus views on Instagram nowadays. Very excited for the dude. So stoked for the success that he has gotten off of this video. But we were even more stoked to be able to sit down and actually talk to him about what led up to this, what got him to wanting to create this video, and generally just how it all went down. And we got to talk a little more about getting to know Anthony and what got him into the music that he writes nowadays and what led up to Mostly Okay. And we're very excited for you guys to listen to this interview. So without further ado, here's our interview with Anthony Nardone, aka Mostly Okay. Thank you, everybody.
All right, everybody. I would like to welcome to the podcast Mr. Anthony Nardone. You may know him as the one-man band Mostly Okay. He also has some viral videos. Right now, I'd like to catch up with him. We used to hang out all the time back in the day. Used to see him at least once a week. Haven't seen him in a while, but let's see how things are going. How you doing, brother?
What's going on, man?
So right now you're at the height of having something I've never had, something hopefully this podcast will eventually have. What is it like having a viral video, knowing that over 100,000 people have seen something that you turned into a work of art, find it hilarious, and wanted to share it with the world?
Honestly, it's just kind of funny to me at first, just
Yeah.
because. So, and like everybody has like a different definition for what they consider viral to be or whatever. To me, it's a million, like a million views at least. But I made something silly. I didn't think twice about it. I posted it at like 11 p.m. and I always struggle with views on Instagram. I feel like my viewership comes mainly from like TikTok and YouTube and stuff. And then like when I woke up, I had 80,000 views, and I was like, "Well,
that's
this is
fucking
different."
insane, dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what do you're up to like 2 million or something now?
I checked like earlier today. It was at 2.1, and it's got like 240,000 shares or something. Like
Hell
that.
yes, dude.
No,
Yes.
to me, there's always this with things being viral. Like there's a like aspect and then there's a share aspect. But I feel like the shares are really where it's at because that means it's reached that broad of a fucking audience.
Yeah.
And it's like if it's been shared 240,000 times, you can almost count on it being watched double that.
Yeah, exactly.
At least.
Yeah, especially like floating through reels and stuff like that. People are seeing it.
Yeah.
So has that made people that you never thought would reach out to you before and like people that you look up to fucking be like, hey man, this is fucking awesome?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it was right when it was started to reach that 500,000 to 600,000 to where it was like every 10 minutes I would open up my Instagram and all of my notifications would just be maxed out. And my DM started getting flooded with like YouTubers that I'd been subscribed to for like 8 years. Like one of them was, and he actually helped it go viral on X too. But it's this dude called Donut Operator, and he's like a former police officer or whatever. And he like reviews body cam footage, and he pushed it really hard after it had gotten the legs enough to reach him. And then when he posted it on X, like a whole bunch of people from the industry started to like it and stuff. And then he sent me a screenshot where like Elon Musk commented on it with like just a laughing
Jesus
face.
Christ.
Oh
yeah,
my
dude.
God.
And what I thought was funny was like I'm frying baskets of chicken at my day job when I get that text, and it's just like I just busted out laughing. Like I was like, dude, this is just silly.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
It's amazing.
And it's just so funny because I've watched the video several times. That lady was just, just having a bad day,
Just tripping out.
Just having a bad day.
Wigging.
I'm not sure if she was having a bad day or not, because on that YouTube channel where I got the original video from, they actually posted something 2 weeks ago of them arresting her, but it was after the video that I used. So it just seems like this is just her meta is to just be like that.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
know her though.
So she's a common problem. And let me guess. I mean, all right. So I don't know where she's from, but my best educated guess is she in the state of Florida.
Yeah, I would assume so.
And see, the thing is, like, every time I've gone to Florida, I've had a great time. You know, one of my favorite places in the world, Universal, is down there. I don't know if it's because they're in a perpetual summer or what it is, but Florida is just another fucking country. Like, I don't even consider it the United States when I visit there. The people themselves are just fucking wild, rabid animals. So,
yeah, I think it starts at letting people enter convenience stores without shoes, and then I think it just kind of
spirals
devolves from there. Yeah,
I mean, because back when the bath salts
no shoes and no shirts.
Yeah, I mean, back when the bath salts thing was going on and people were eating other people's faces, it was only happening in Florida.
Something about that salt water.
Have you ever done that? Have you ever done that thing where you look up your birthday and then the Florida man headline for the local news?
No,
I did back in the day. I remember that being the thing like a while ago.
I was born in Florida, so that'd be interesting.
There you go.
Like what my headline would be.
All right, so yeah, we were eventually going to circle back to that because I know you from the Coweta, Sharpsburg area of Georgia. But did you grow up in Florida or did you move here at a very young age?
So, I was born in Pensacola.
Pensacola is fucking tight, by the way.
Yeah, Pensacola is tight, and they got a good music scene there.
My wife and I have talked about ending up in Pensacola when we're retired and the kids are out of the house and everything like that. Pensacola is fucking great.
Pensacola's tight. My grandma owned a music store there that my mom and my dad. There was like a little apartment in the back, and that's where they lived. And my dad worked there, and he was also in bands and stuff.
Like straight instruments, or like a record store?
No, like it was like kind of like a mini guitar center.
Okay, cool.
Oh, sick.
So they would do lessons, and then it was the biggest store. Hers was in Fort Walton, and so
Fort Walton's gotten hit by some badass hurricanes lately, hasn't it?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But that's kind of where it all started, man. My dad's always kind of dabbled around in music. He was a drummer for a while, was in a bunch of bands, and then he started playing guitar. I mean, he just had all this musical instruments available to him. Mm-hmm. So he just like kind of would just take stuff off the shelves and like, I'm going to use this cymbal for this show, and then learned how to play everything. And then,
so do you think in a way music was kind of forced on you, or you saw it and you're like, man, that's fucking cool, I want to do this too?
No, I had no interest until this is so funny. I had no interest in music until probably like the Attitude Era of WWF. And then when I heard my dad would just practice. He would like have like a little PV 30 watt amp upstairs, and he would just start wailing. And I heard him play something I guess he made up that sounded like the DX riff. And then,
are you ready?
Yeah, it just stopped me in my tracks. And then I was like, hey, can you teach me that? And then he taught it to me. And then from there, I was just like, oh, well, I can learn the rest of this WWF intro music disc that I had. Yeah. And then that's what I did. And then it just kept going and going.
Oh, dude. Back in the day, I had all the fucking wrestling CDs. And
what a great disc that was.
Yeah. It was nothing but themes. But I'm talking like, I had the old one. The logo was just the blue and yellow fucking WWF logo. Yeah. The Mankind song, the Stone Cold song, like all that shit, the Sable song on there. And then it evolved into like, then they started getting real artists onto, dude, the WWF albums were fucking awesome because I was big into the action figures because I was still a young kid when the Attitude Era was. So I would just like skip it to where and then make the entrance happen with the fucking Titantron toys and all that shit. God, I fucking loved it, dude.
Yep. And that was my punishment. Like anytime I was bad as a kid or bad in school, it's like they didn't take anything other than like my little dudes away.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like,
and
that's
also,
how you hurt me.
Those Jack Specifics, those like Jack Specifics toys back in the day, they don't get enough credit because some of those head sculpts and everything. You remember the bone crunching action fucking toys and shit?
Oh,
dude, those were the fucking shit.
Also,
oh my God.
Shout out Jack Specific for still making sick toys. I have a lot of them behind me.
Jack Specific is fucking awesome. I don't know if they still make wrestling toys, but I remember back in the day the heavy like rubber fucking wrestling toys with.
I do feel like they still are like currently. I'm almost positive they still are. Like I think they're for sale at Target. if I'm not mistaken.
I can't imagine that market is as big as it was then, though, because
No,
now
hell
people
no.
get like the kids are getting entertained with their phones.
Yeah. And see, that's the thing. We've talked about it several times how wrestling just is not what it like when we were kids. Like you were a square if you were not into wrestling, and now you're kind of on the outside if you are into wrestling. But like growing up in Atlanta,
Fuck
it was
that.
the hub of WCW and like the hub of wrestling. Like we had wrestling 6 nights a week in Atlanta. So like wrestling was unavoidable. It was kind of forced on me in a way by my father and my grandmother. Like, and it was at the point back then, like you couldn't tell these motherfuckers that it was scripted or anything was staged. Like wrestling was fucking real to them. Like it was.
No, that was Santa Claus to me, dude.
Yeah, exactly, dude.
People always talked about it being fake, but I was like, no, The Rock is really mad right now.
Yeah, he's upset. Yeah. He's upset. They don't like each other. And then I feel like kind of when you broke kayfabe, like I saw Beyond the Mat at a younger age than I should have. And it, in a way, kind of ruined things for me because I didn't want to believe that these guys were really friends backstage. But I mean, as an adult, of course, you understand the entertainment aspect, whatever. But like, I just wanted to believe for the rest of my life that The Rock and Stone Cold fucking hate each other, and Mankind almost died. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like that happened for me. Like the big like breaking of kayfabe for me was when I saw all these motherfuckers on one airplane, and I'm like, wait. You shouldn't be sitting next to him, and also like you shouldn't be sitting across from that dude. Like,
why aren't you sitting with your tag team partner?
Right, yeah. Like he's in the fucking back of the airplane. Like,
where's Farouk, dude?
And I was literally just like, why are all these people sitting together? And then I was like, okay, like
first of all, mentioning Farouk. Ron Simmons does not get the fucking credit he deserves. That is a genuine tough motherfucker who I believe. And also, do you guys not remember how fucking big Bradshaw was? That was a big old fucking boy, dude.
Dude, when those boys were together, they were massive.
Yeah.
They were
what were they called? The Acolytes?
Dude. Oh yeah, the Acolytes. And then the APA, the Acolyte Protection Agency, bro. Bro. The best bodyguards in the world.
They also found their way in with the Brood, with Gangrel and Christian and Edge when they first came along.
And then it became the Ministry of Darkness under the Undertaker.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah. All right, so we've gotten completely off the rails.
I can talk about WWF forever.
That's what happens when you bring in wrestling with us.
So now we know who to invite back when we're doing wrestling talk, and that's fucking perfect. That's beautiful.
I've been out since they went from WWF to WWE.
Oh wow, okay.
So I was specifically Attitude Era, and then it was kind of like when Pokemon did their whole Generation 2. I was like, no, I'm gone.
Yeah. See, like I grew up a WCW kid because I was in Atlanta, and then once they became WWE, a conglomerate, it kind of took me a moment to get back into it. But I mean, of course, Attitude Era you couldn't avoid, but I was always a diehard WCW guy. Sting, Goldberg, fucking NWO. That was my shit.
I always looked at the kids who watched WCW as like their parents weren't cool enough to let them see Sable's boobies on Saturday night. Or like hear a couple cuss words, even though like
but the
Chris
thing is,
Jericho and stuff was on WCW, and I love Chris Jericho.
The thing is, that's honestly true because I was allowed to watch WCW because it came on TBS and we had basic channels. But if I wanted to watch WWF, it was only the pay-per-views and I had to rent it from Blockbuster, and I couldn't watch it around my mom. Like I had to like navigate my day around my mom not seeing me put the VHS tape in. You know what I'm saying?
That's awesome.
I feel like that's a lot of people though with wrestling though. I feel like when you're a kid, you kind of feel guilty about it. Like there's like a weird I mean, shit, I still feel guilty sometimes. Like when I'm sitting watching wrestling in public and like people are around, I'm like, probably shouldn't be watching wrestling.
I don't care, dude. It's still rad.
Yeah.
It's still rad. Those dudes are still way cooler than I'll ever be.
Oh, I mean, for sure. Yes.
But so yeah, Pensacola music shop, music was kind of in your DNA. What came the shift? What made you guys move to the Atlanta area, or specifically when you moved to Georgia, was it Coweta County? Like was Noonan the resting spot?
No, so my dad moved for work, and then we lived in Palmetto in the early 90s from like 91 until 98, and then we made the move to Coweta.
Okay, cool. And
I was 7 when we moved. Palmetto was rough back then, bro.
Yeah, that's what I was about to ask. Like Palmetto
was small.
Palmetto and Fairburn, like back in the early 90s, those were not places you wanted to be.
No,
and it was it was very small town back then too. Like very small town.
And
Kinda.
then my siblings went to like Bear Creek and stuff, and then like there was like shootings happening at middle schools
Yeah,
there.
dude.
You know, it
Jesus.
was
Yeah.
wild.
No, I remember that place being really fucking rough. And then so you gravitated to Coweta County, and is that when you kind of broke your teeth into the hardcore scene, or did that kind of evolve along the way? Because I figure like most of us, you probably started with the punk rock, the fucking Ramones, the MXPX, the Sex Pistols.
No,
No?
no, dude, that is not my story. My dad was like he was kind of like a 80s metal kind of guy.
Okay, cool.
So in my
Like Big
house,
Four style, like, or like more thrash metal, like
no,
mostly Slayer and shit.
more kind of threat. He liked Judas Priest and
Oh,
Iron
hell yeah,
Maiden
dude.
were his like
Yeah.
two big ones. He didn't really like the hair metal bands all that much. He liked the heavier stuff. He liked some
The
Metallica.
power metal.
Yeah, power metal.
Yeah.
And no, but what I kind of have like a backwards evolution when it comes to like alternative music. So like when I grew up, there was like two factions in my house, and it was like my mom and my siblings who were like 90s R&B and rap, and then
Okay.
my dad who was like 99X at the time and like power
Oh,
metal.
fuck yeah. Greatest
And
station of all time.
yeah, so it's like
Greatest station of all time.
I'm with my mom a lot, I'm with my dad a lot, and I get these two fusions of music, and I know all the words to both, right?
Mhm.
And then in like 98, 99, it all came together when I found Hybrid Theory, dude.
Dude,
And
what's funny is I was about to call you out on that because I remember
yeah,
one thing that really connected us when we were hanging out at Michael Huddleston's house when I lived there. Shout out Michael. You and I clicked on R&B because we're both big Boyz II Men's fans. We both love Casey and JoJo. We both love all that shit. But then I was like, but you have a fucking Linkin Park tattoo.
yeah, yeah. Wait. I have a Hybrid Theory tattoo.
Okay, a Hybrid Theory tattoo.
That's different than a Linkin Park tattoo.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. You're right.
Yes. Yes.
But yeah, dude. So when I found Linkin Park, it was and it was on like one of those infomercials like where they have like the little music video playing and then like the
and you
name
saw
of the
Mike
band.
Shinoda screaming with the fucking red hair and shit.
Yeah.
I
It's
know
like
exactly
the
what
band's
you're talking
name was
about.
highlighted as it rolled up the screen and stuff. And then it was like the perfect fusion of like what my one side of my family listened to and then what I listened to with my dad. And then I got obsessed with it. And then
because to me it was like Limp Bizkit, but like more emotional, like more like I felt more connected to it. Like, dude, I bought Hybrid Theory in the 5th grade, and I remember going to see my grandparents in South Carolina, and I listened to that album probably 8 times in a fucking row on the way there.
Yeah, dude.
That is a wild comparison, though. Like, I mean, I grew up the same way with like my mom being a big R&B person and my dad being a rock person, and like it's a wild comparison to hear these things coming together as Linkin Park.
Yeah, dude. Well,
it's
I mean,
wild. It's wild to think about.
And my family loved Linkin Park too. So it was like my mom liked Linkin Park, my dad liked Linkin Park, and my brother and my sister liked Linkin Park. So it was like I was never ashamed for listening to crazy shit, but like that was just something that we could all get around. Now when it evolved from there into like System of a Down, then it got kind of weird because I got that Toxicity album. That was the next album I got. So I kind of hit that like new metal. I started with new metal essentially.
Yeah, I did too. And sorry to keep it. I'm just so like perplexed at how much we have in common because still to this day, I listen to Toxicity in the gym all the fucking time. And it's so crazy to me that the shit he was singing about in like what, 2000, 2001, maybe 02.
That was 01.
It was 01. Okay.
Yeah.
It's still so relevant and so true. The words that are coming out of his mouth are still so like anybody who's got this big political agenda and has a fuck the system attitude, you need to be listening to Toxicity all the fucking time because he was talking about it then and nothing has changed.
Yeah. First of all, it like Prison track 1 is not only just an absolute banger, but it's like his lyrics in that too were relevant then and they're relevant now 24 years later.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I remember I remember I very much still to this day, I'm not the biggest System of a Down fan, but I remember I went to see them one time and it was the fest with like Metallica Summer Sanitarium tour. Sanitarium tour. And so I got to see that and I just remember like, dude, seeing System of a Down seeing them then was dude, his all of their energy. I could say him, but like
Yeah.
all of their energy on stage was just like, holy shit, these
I saw
dudes.
them. I
Like,
saw them in like 2004, 2005, one of those 2 years. But
yeah.
they had the Mars Volta opening for them right after Francis the Mute came out, and I was really stoked to see Mars Volta because I thought Francis the Mute was just like musical genius. I thought it was an incredible record, and it is. But there's a big difference between a Mars Volta record and a Mars Volta live performance because these dudes were just so fucked up on acid that all they did
Yep.
was make noise for 45 minutes. And I don't even know if they played an actual song their entire set. But then System of a Down came out and they came out there and they proved a point. And they were consummate professionals. Everything they said had meaning and they fucking stood by what they were singing. And it was fucking phenomenal. One of the best concerts I've ever seen in my life.
I never saw him, but they Toxicity it's like back then it was like maybe I got 2 CDs a year. So it was like it was 98 Degrees by Hot Boys and Toxicity. You know?
Hell yeah.
So
Yes.
so like I get to juggle with that. And I remember so I was in 5th grade when I got Toxicity. And I remember I had like my little skip proof Walkman on and I'm listening.
Which were not
to
skip proof, by the way.
Mine was.
It
Mine,
was.
I had like a white and orange one. I had like a white and orange one that somehow I got. I know we couldn't afford it, but somebody let me borrow it, and maybe I just forgot to give it back. How how that works?
Yeah.
But we were on a field trip somewhere, man, and I just remember like it was specifically the song Pogo on that record.
Yeah, dude.
And that song is so wild. And I just remember like it blasting in my ears and looking at everybody else on the bus on this field trip going like, I know nobody else is listening to something this fucking crazy.
Yeah. No, I remember I bought the Toxicity version that was like the deluxe edition that it was like a blue, kind of like a shiny blue cover instead of the regular cover. And it came with a bonus DVD of them performing live. And dude, it was fucking amazing.
Yeah. Linkin Park had a Hybrid Theory DVD. And actually, I got that before I got the record. So I would just watch that DVD all day.
So how do you think Linkin Park evolved into hard? Because I can see the growth from Linkin Park, new metal, going into hardcore music because it's got a lot of, and a lot of times there's a lot of hardcore bands that don't claim new metal, but you hear them. I mean, Twitching Tongues, perfect example. Sounds like a new metal band to me. You know what I'm saying? So I can see the evolution going from like you can easily go from Linkin Park to Hatebreed, and it would make fucking sense to me. So what do you think was your evolution into getting into hardcore?
It was honestly, dude, it's so backwards, man, because like hardcore and punk came last because I like after I got onto Linkin Park, I was like, okay, I want to be the dude with the tattoos and the spiky red hair. And so then I thought I wanted to be a drummer.
You wanted to have the clean singing voice. You wanted to be
at the time, right? So when I got my first guitar, which was like probably 4 years after I actually found music and knew that I loved something more than my wrestlers. I got a guitar and I started playing it. And then like at the time I liked the alternative look and I was like getting into like Simple Plan and Good Charlotte just because that's what was coming on, like whatever the hell I was watching. And then I picked up a guitar and I was kind of naturally good at it, but like you don't have to be great at guitar to learn a Simple Plan song. And then I'm in like, you gotta know like grade.
What 3-4 chords.
That's it. I'm in like 7th grade and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna learn this Good Charlotte song. And I learn it in like 10 minutes. And I'm like, that's it. Like, that's not the guitar player I want to play. And then honestly, dude, from there, it went from like Simple Plan and Good Charlotte to As I Lay Dying's first album. And I was like, this is what I want. And so I kind of went from like new metal straight to metalcore. And then I got like Uranium on whatever channel that came
was
on.
That Fuse?
Uranium.
That was Fuse with Julia, the fucking
yeah. It's in Fuse. So I was being like force fed like Billy Talent and All That Remains, and then Hatebreed, and then Taking Back Sunday and Brand New. And so I just had this alternative freaking tube that I was shoving my face in. And but to be a better guitar player, I started getting into the metalcore stuff because like Killswitch Engage had all the riffs that I liked. So I was like, okay, I like this. And then that's when my first band that I started Face All Fears, that's like kind of where that influence came from, was just like strictly metalcore type stuff.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of Face Off Ears, so when I first got into Face Off Ears, it was a very big band in the local scene. But at that time, you weren't the lead singer, but then you became the lead singer. So were you the original singer and then you left and then came back, or what happened there? Because when I got into Face Off Ears, there was some dude named Nate that was the singer, and then when I started going to Face Off Ears shows, you were the singer.
Yeah. So, dude, I had no idea you even went to any of our shows.
Yeah, I went to maybe only 3 or 4, but I was at shows because there was a day at, when you guys, we were at a show, me, Michael Huddleston, Emma Higgins was there. And, as soon as Outkast came on, I fucking crowd surfed to the front and sang it with you.
Hell yeah. Well, and I was the singer.
Yeah. You were the singer at that show.
Oh, tight, dude. I don't even remember. My Joey, my recollections of you are like when I'm on the tipping point of going from sober to drunk and then just like generally having a good time.
Well, see, that's the thing is like I bring the good time out of people. Like I don't know very many people that'll have a hangout with me and say it wasn't a good time, because that's what I like to bring out of people. There's been several times where when I lived with Michael, you'd come hang out at the pool, we'd go to Flatiron, we'd, bombard East Atlanta Village. And my thing is like, I've grown out of it now, I got a wife and 3 kids now, but my goal, my job, my burden as the person in the friend group was to be the life of the party, where if you weren't having a good time, I was going to force you to have a good time, or you were going to get the fuck out of there,
Dude, now I'm thinking that you were probably at like the celebration of my 21st birthday. I think there's a picture. I have a bald head and we're all at the flat. And
yeah, with Roger, right?
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I'm going. I'm sitting here like, dude. Wild.
Yeah, I was there. You guys came to Flatiron, and I was like, all right, dude. He just turned 21, dude. We got you. I don't want to incriminate anybody. We got you pretty toasty that night,
dude. It all happened so fast because somebody stood up and told the entire bar that it was my 21st, and
that was me.
Within 5 minutes, the table's just full of drinks.
Yeah.
And then some you got to drop the milk in and then drink it before it curdles. And then I'm just like, yo, I've only had a beer before.
All I can say is you're welcome, Yeah,
thank you.
And like, that was my first time meeting Roger, and peculiar character. Don't have anything against him. Cool guy, you know? But all I remember is like, you got drunk enough to where Roger carried you back to the car and you didn't make it back to the house. So
no way.
Back to our house. You didn't make it back to our house. I'm sure you made it back home just fine, but like, yeah.
I didn't stay in Atlanta that night.
I don't think so. I think Roger wanted
for me after that picture.
Like, see, the thing is, do you still have that picture where we're at the bar?
It's somewhere, dude. I have it somewhere.
Okay, so the thing for me too, the problem of being the burden of carrying the party is like, it's like I'm conscious for all this shit going on, like the photos, the getting back to the house, the
and what's fucked up is you probably drank as much as he did too.
Probably drank more, but the thing is, like, no, I'm there and I'm encouraging everybody, but I have just as much recollection as you do. Like, I encouraged all of it. I made it all happen. I had a good time, but like, I don't remember any of that shit either. So I'm glad that photos exist. No,
it definitely does. Dude, I forgot what we were even talking about beforehand. It feels like the good old days.
Me too. So, but yeah,
getting into hardcore music.
Face Off Fears.
Face Off Fears and getting into hardcore music. Were you the original singer,
or was Nate before you?
No. So, when I started Face Off Fears, I was in 9th grade. I was like still 15, and then I had Barack. Essentially, it was like, I think Michael Huddleston was started help us start the band, and maybe Chris Thompson. It was essentially all of us coming together and then watch me and Barack play guitar together. Our first singer was a dude named Cody from Marietta, who is like much older than both of us. And then when Cody left, dude, this is honestly kind of crazy. When Cody left, I had sent the singer of like a big metalcore band a message on MySpace, and I was like, hey, I know you're probably not going to read this, but my band needs a vocalist, and I know that you're probably touring Europe right now, but we need a vocalist, and it'd be cool if you could come and be our vocalist. And I sent it to him, and he just responded with his number. And we ended up talking to this dude. He's in a huge band. Fly him down. He records vocals for us on our like first record or whatever. And on top of him being in the band, he got Vincent from the Acacia Strain on our first record, and he got Frankie from Emure on our first record. And then so it was like Face All Fears at that point had like this new singer that everybody knew. And we had like these two dudes who were like at the peak of their career who were beefing with each other. So it looked like we were about to just absolutely take off. And the reason why I'm not saying this dude's name at the moment is because he absolutely screwed us at the end. Made us sign to his made up record label, made a merch store.
Is it the guy that I keep naming?
No.
Okay.
No. But he made a sign to his record label. He printed out this like merch store website where apparently we had tons and tons of sales, and then we just never talked. We never heard from him again. And then I was left on MySpace sitting there sending messages all day to hundreds of people. It's like, yeah, man, all this is it's his responsibility. I'm so sorry. Like, I haven't spoken to him in 3 weeks. Like, so many people just be like, hey man, I ordered my shirt a month ago. Where is it? I ordered my shorts, whatever. And then we just never, we flew him down. He drank all of our booze, recorded vocals, flew back up, did a bunch of work for us, and then set up the merch store and just dipped.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So after that, that's when Nate came. And God, I love Nate so much. He like people, the people that don't know him think he's like so rough around the edges, but that's just a sweetheart of a man. And so we had Nate come in and Ant come in, Anthony Belcher on bass, and then that's when the shows started picking up. And then we were on like a little Weekend Warrior tour, and I remember specifically we played one show somewhere, I don't remember, like somewhere in Alabama, and then we had another show in Panama City, and he just didn't show up the next day for the next show. He was like, he lived in Alabama. He was like, I'm going to stop in Alabama and, see my wife and say what's up. It's like, okay. And then we show up the next day at Panama City, and he's like, yeah, I can't be in the band anymore. My wife's pregnant and I'm not going to be at the show tonight. And I was like, oh shit.
Okay.
So, right. Yeah. So I had never done vocals. Like, I knew I could scream or whatever, but never done vocals for the band up until that point. Never been on stage without my guitar. And then that was the first night that I was like 40 minutes before we played, I was like, shit, I have to do vocals.
God.
And so from there, we were looking for vocalists. And then like we were also like recording our new record. And then I was laying down tracks on the new record, and then shopping out the ideas to people and be like, hey, this is how the vocal goes. Let's hear how you do it. And then like we couldn't really find somebody that we liked. And then we ended up shopping our tracks to record labels. And then one of the things that the labels liked a lot was my voice for whatever reason, because back like listening to it now, it was super monotone, but they just like the way my voice sound. They like the band. And so we're like, okay, I guess I'll be the vocalist now. But yeah, dude, we had a couple of major record label offers, but we denied all of them just because they absolutely screwed us.
Yeah.
Like there's no budget. It's just essentially we owe them money from the moment when we started, even though that we recorded our CD.
Isn't like I've never been on a record label, but isn't it kind of like, all right, you owe us this for recording, and until you make this money back, you don't make shit.
Yeah.
Is that kind of how it goes?
Essentially. So they'll give you a budget, which you sign the rights to your music over, and they'll give you a budget, and they'll essentially be like, okay, your budget is $100,000, right? And within that $100,000, it's going to be studio time, merch, if you need a van or whatever. And I guess because we were just kind of like essentially kind of nobodies, but we were like on the rise, so to speak. We got like Eulogy sent us an offer. I want to say like Prosthetic Records sent us an offer, and Eulogy at this point was kind of on their way out. If this was like 8 years
that's probably
earlier,
after like Coheed left and all that shit, right? Yeah.
If it was like 8 years earlier, it would have been like a dream come true. But like all the major
Exactly.
record labels was essentially saying that we owe them 30% of everything we make on stage.
Yeah, no, and
then
fuck that.
Yeah, and as we were playing so many shows, we were on the road, like 30% means I don't get to my next show, or if I
Yeah.
like we did a
I can't even fucking buy Taco Bell with that shit, bro.
yeah, dude, we did like a 9 or 10 week long tour where we stopped at my aunt's house like as a warm place to sleep, like as we were going through Pennsylvania, and she gave me $200. And at the end of that tour, I owed Thomas $60. You know, like we didn't make no money. It was just getting to the next show. You know, it's like you might have 400 or 500, like being 20 and like $500 in my pocket, and I'm like, okay, I'm hitting the road for 9 weeks. I'll figure it out.
Now, as an artist, where it's kind of evolved to today, where like, of course, streaming platforms screw you over, but as an artist, you can make music more lucrative for yourself. Do you like the way the music game has evolved to where it's kind of like independent artists kind of thrive a whole lot fucking more now, where they used to not?
Yes and no. So like I like the fact that I can make something of the same quality, like even though like I'm still learning how to mix and master like mostly okay stuff. It's not like the best mixes or whatever, but like some of these mixes would have cost $20,000 15 years ago.
Right, exactly.
So that's cool. What's not cool to me is having to essentially please an algorithm to get my stuff viewed by people.
Okay. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I can
like,
understand that. Yeah. No, I get exactly what you're saying. Yeah.
Oh, we
When I
fully
first-
understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I first started Mostly Okay, like I wanted to do vocal covers. Not in it wasn't even called Mostly Okay. It was just called, I think I just called it like Gnarly 66. I just posted vocal covers. I didn't think anybody's going to watch them. But I was doing that because I would hear a song and they'd be like, I can sing that. Let me record it and then learn how to mix my voice like they did. And I was kind of teaching myself how to mix, and then I would have something to share. So I was like, okay, let me just use my camera. I'll throw up a quick video. And like I got a few videos on YouTube, like pretty quick off, that got over 100K and like a lot of positive comments. So I was like, okay, this is cool. But then as an independent artist, it's like if I were to just be like, you know, here's me playing my song The Fall, you know, it comes out tomorrow, check it out, it's like it's going to get 250 views and nothing more, because it's not connected to anything unless I'm like writing some sort of script that's like with a hook at the front and a hook in the middle and trying to essentially please an algorithm to show it to more people. So what I do, and I think it's a little bit like I enjoy it more this way, is I create a funnel, which is like covers and funny videos or like whatever. But like with the funnel, with like the cover videos, I can have my name attached to Slipknot's name, or my name attached to Hawthorne Heights.
Yeah.
And then those videos get seen more, and then people check out my other videos and like my covers, and then I feed them my original music instead of me just like constantly posting the same chorus of the same song and then like doing ridiculous shit in front of a camera at 34 years old.
And now
You know?
I've seen your vocal cover. Have you had any of the original artists reach out to you and be like, "Hey man, that's fucking badass. I like what you did here"?
Yeah, dude. Quite a few. I did on YouTube, I did Seeing Red by Chevelle. They commented on it, like their official page.
Sick.
That's
Hell
fucking
yeah.
cool, dude. Hell yeah.
Yeah, they thought it was cool. I did like a Motionless on White. Chris Motionless commented on it. Phil from All That Remains like some of my stuff. There's probably a few
Nice,
more, but it was like stuff like that's cool, man. Like I've been
That's
listening
dope.
to All That Remains since I was 13 years old.
The last guy we interviewed, Daniel from Fit for a King, he's been on tour with Motionless White a couple of times, and he's told me that Chris is a fucking badass human being. He's really kind.
Yo, his vocals, like I've watched him live. I don't really care for the band that much. I'm more like interested in his vocals. He's just a powerhouse.
Yeah. And
He's
see,
a great showman. He's a great showman.
I never thought I'd be into Motionless in White. And then it's one of those things, like, I feel like as a person, as you get older, your tastes evolve and you start, finding their influence. You start hearing their influence and what you grew up in more. And then even when I never fucking thought I'd be into this band, but recently Sleep Token has become a huge band in my life. I don't know what happened. I started listening to them more and more, started listening to them in the gym. Every song is 7 minutes long and it's just like a journey. And there's something about that band that I've found so captivating lately. I'll probably grow out of it, as I do with every band. But right now,
it's your R&B upbringing. Because that's what it is. That's what it is. Sleep Token's R&B for metalheads.
Yeah, it truly is, and no, it's true. And when I first really got into them, I told Ian, I was like, dude, next time we're out in the car, I'm just playing you. I was like, you just have to listen, you just have to understand, like, just give it a fucking chance. There's something about it, like, and it's also one of those things that, like, I don't want to, like, outwardly be. I guess now I am. I don't want to tell the whole world, like, oh, I love Sleep Token, but dude, they're fucking badass. They're awesome.
I don't think a lot of people nowadays are going to argue with you, though. I feel like that's a huge band nowadays, and a lot of people. A lot more people recently I've seen, especially wearing like Sleep Token merch and stuff like that. So like, I feel like they're a band. They're a band that's definitely. I don't want to say on the rise, because I feel like if you see this many people, you already know they're on the rise. Like, look at their views and all that kind of stuff in their place. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're there.
Like, yeah,
but it's one of those things. Like, I'm gonna be 35 years old in June, and like, I just don't give a fuck anymore what people think about what I listen to. Like, I like Limp Bizkit, I like new metal. Hybrid Theory is a badass album. Sleep Token's fucking good. I'll listen to Mariah Carey all the fucking time. I don't give a fuck, dude. I really don't. I like what I like.
I'm late to this show, but Electric Cowboy
is fucking badass, dude.
Oh my god. They put out a song called Elevator Operator, and I ended up doing a vocal cover to that. And like, when I found that song, dude, that's the only thing that existed to me for a week.
One of the most underrated songs that Ian knows about the song. We discovered it working at a pizza place together. If you ever get a chance to hear the song Temporary Secretary by Paul McCartney.
Oh my God.
Dude, one of the greatest songs ever. And you would never expect that Paul McCartney wrote this fucking song. It's fucking amazing.
But I'm about to write it down.
It's absolutely insane. Dude, but shout out to dude we interviewed a few episodes ago, Charlie. Yeah. That when he's leaving work, he would put this motherfucker on the playlist like 10 times in a row.
Oh yeah,
and be like, "Okay, guys, peace out. We'll see you later."
Like, when I first heard the song "Temporary Secretary" by Paul McCartney, I could have swore it was like a Devo song or some shit. Like, no, it's Paul McCartney, and like, I don't know what amount of drugs he was doing when he wrote this song, but I am just so thankful it exists. It's fucking amazing.
Hell yeah, I got it written down now.
It's a very wild song. Like, definitely, when the first time I heard it, I think I heard it working at another pizza shop. And Bo played it for me. And I think it was one of those things where I was just like, who in the fuck is this?
And you would never guess it's Paul McCartney.
And they told me Paul McCartney, and I was like, no, dude, no.
Yeah,
like,
no fucking way.
I even like Shazammed it on my phone to actually see if they were fucking with me. Dude, Paul McCartney. I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
but it's a genius song too. It really is.
It's a wild song.
But yeah, so we evolved from that, and now let's see. So explain to me the best you can, like, now your solo project, Mostly Okay. What does this project mean to you? Because it's very different from what you've done before in Face All Fears. It's more of a more emotional project, more vulnerable, kind of putting your entire self out there. So explain it a little bit.
Yeah, dude. So something that stayed consistent from the time I was in middle school, even through being in Face All Fears, and then I was a vocalist for another like even heavier band called Hollower, but like we wore masks and stuff, and it was just an internet project that me and my friend Patrick did. But something that stayed consistent throughout my entire life was like I've always listened to Brand New, I've always listened to Taking Back Sunday, I've always listened to Silverstein. Yeah, and it was like that emo screamo category to me. I guess it just hit me at the right time, to where like even when I was playing metal shows and I wasn't listening to like the Smiths or something or Depeche Mode, is like I was listening to my like screamo core. And that's kind of where it came from. Just because it was like, man, like I learned how to record my own stuff. I bought all the gear, built a computer, and then I was like, well, let me write something that like that's not heavy, because that's the only thing I've ever written. Let me like actually write the music that I like to listen to. And I tried to incorporate a lot of the stuff I grew up on with it. But yeah, man, that's just essentially it. It's honestly, it sounds kind of silly, but like I am making like, if I was 13, I'm making my favorite band.
Okay, no,
That
no,
that's
I
what I'm
love that
trying to
That
do.
makes
distinction.
perfect
You
sense.
know,
Yeah.
yeah, that makes perfect. And I feel like that's
Yeah.
what you should do as a musician. I feel like a lot of musicians, they start bands to be like, all right, well, they're doing this, let's copy this, let's go get signed, let's do. And it's good and it's refreshing. And I'm glad you said that, because I like seeing a musician putting themselves into the music instead of just, trying to make it big, trying to get more views, trying to get more famous. Like, what do
Yeah.
I like about the music? Do I like the product that I'm putting out? You know what I'm saying?
And that's another thing too, man, is I've done the whole being a band, rely on 5, 6 other musicians and do the road thing and play shows. Like I'm not trying to do that. Like I'm just, look, I'm a musician and I'm gonna make music either way. And I want more than just a few people to hear it.
Yeah.
So like I just do what I do, and if people like it, that's awesome. If somehow I can turn it into ad dollars on YouTube, even better.
Yeah.
But other than that, like the thing that really kind of like motivates me is that like my future son or future grandkid is going to be able to go on YouTube and just look at Pawpaw's giant resume from like metalcore to death metal. It's like he'll be able to watch me play live shows, like multiple band recordings, multiple records, and then see my solo project and be like, that was my granddad. And if it gets him to pick up a guitar, that'd be tight.
Yeah,
You
that's
know?
beautiful.
Hell yeah.
Definitely want to see that
Yeah.
come full circle. And I
Yeah,
hope that
dude.
works out for you, man.
Yeah.
Dude, it was fucking awesome talking to you, man. We're gonna cut. I mean, we can keep talking. I don't think this conversation could ever win with you, because this conversation has been amazing. But yeah, before we let you go, dude, is there things you want to plug? How can people find you? What do you got coming out? Mostly okay, more viral videos. Actually, before we do that, let's break down how the viral video worked. Let's circle back to the beginning of this conversation. You saw this video and you're just like, all right, I can put a fucking metal tempo over this, or
So my brother, who is kind of he's 8 years older than me, and he's just perpetually online. So he's
Okay.
he's super ear to the ground when it comes to like viral stuff. Like he sent me the Oliver Anthony song the day it came out, when it had like 700,000 views before it became the
Okay.
biggest thing on the planet.
Yeah, and then
And
all of a sudden that motherfucker started playing festivals and shit.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, then that was the most popular song in the world.
Yeah, absolutely
but,
it was.
But he sent me, he was just like, dude, check this girl's vocals out. They're insane. You should, put a breakdown over it. And
I
was
like the way that he put that. Like, check this girl's vocals out.
Yeah.
like
That's
not,
exactly
hey,
what he
this girl is
said.
freaking out with the cops and like, I don't know, but check this
No.
girl's vocals out.
No, he had content in mind. And I never made a video like that before either. And it's like, it was a coincidence because I was on my way to go and pick up the guitar I have in that video. I bought it off Facebook Marketplace that day, and that's a guitar for metal. Like I only have a Telecaster and like a hollow body.
Yeah.
Like I don't have, and then that's it right there.
Now, for
And then-
people who don't know, what is the difference between a guitar for metal and just a guitar?
So I guess in this case, it's oh god, getting nerdy. So Telecasters have like single coil pickups, and it's just they're not so chunky. Like you don't get a good thick tone, even though I love the tone out of my Tele. But it's Telecasters are kind of more for like country or just kind of like rock or whatever. Really good for cleans. But like something like that has like hot ass EMG pickups, essentially.
Is that like a humbucker? Like the
Yeah, it's like an active humbucker.
Yeah.
And it's just no nonsense. There's not a knob on that guitar that doesn't need to be there. And
Okay.
it's a Squire, and it's like one of the best guitars I've ever played.
Hell yeah.
And the dude did all these upgrades to it, and then I ended up talking him down a little bit in price. And so like my brother sent me that video, and on the same day I got that guitar, and then when I brought that guitar home, it was already in like drop A tuning, which is like I play in standard, and that's just so much lower than standard. So I was like, okay, cool. I was like, oh yeah, my brother sent me the video. Let me just make something for him. And yeah, dude, I made that shit in like 2 or 3 hours and just posted it at 11 o'clock and went to bed not thinking nothing of it.
Dude, that's
Wild.
fucking awesome.
That was wild.
But yeah, so I enjoy the Mostly Okay stuff, and I hope that everyone else does. So tell
Thank
everyone
you,
how
man.
to find Mostly Okay, because it's been great. I do check it out and listen to it every time you post. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go listen to it. It's great. It's actually very calming. It in a way, I don't know if you meant for it to, but it definitely gives me like it gives me the feeling it's reminiscent to like May. Were you ever into May growing up?
Mm-mm.
The band, oh dude, there's this band called May. They were on Tooth and Nail Records. They had this album called The Everglow. Dude, it's fucking fantastic. Your music reminds me of them. So like every time I see it, it kind of is reminiscent of that. I love it.
Hell yeah.
Wild comparison.
Yeah,
It's
I got
not a wild comparison. Though.
I
It's
gotta check
not.
them out. Yeah, I mean, you could just look up Mostly Okay, OKAY on honestly on whatever. I try to, like, obviously Spotify, Amazon, all that stuff. I try to encourage people to go to YouTube and watch my music videos,
Okay.
because we put a lot of time and effort into my music videos, and to me they look really really good. And with this last music video, I actually flew down to Atlanta and met up. This is kind of nuts. Everybody in that music video, in one way or another, were in Face Off Ears, but they were in
Oh
Face
wow.
Off Ears at a different time, and they had never met each other until that day.
Wow.
Yeah, and so I sent everybody like videos on how this is how you play it on guitar. Sent the drum tracks to Mikey, and then like they all learned it. And then when we got together, dude, it was like we had been touring together for like 5 or 6 years.
That's
It was
what's
like
up, dude.
it was almost like everybody knew everybody. And that video, it's got my fiance in it, and that's like the one that took the most as far as like having a story, getting locations and stuff like that. But we put a lot of work into the music videos, and I'm pretty proud of them. So I definitely
yeah.
encourage people that if you like the music, then definitely check out the videos.
Absolutely. Well, check out Mostly Okay. When we post this, we're gonna tag him in it. I'm gonna make one of those cool little comic book images of us that everybody
Hell
seems
yeah.
to love lately.
Hell yeah, dude,
But
those
yeah,
are
man.
awesome. Those are awesome.
Yeah. Dude. Hey man, thank you so much for your time. And we'll talk a little bit more after we end this meeting. But dude, it was great catching up with you, man. I can't thank you enough.
Yes, sir. It was awesome.
Yeah, thanks, Anthony. Appreciate
Yes,
it.
sir.
Well, like we said, pretty amazing interview, right? Thank you, Anthony, for taking the time to sit down with us and talk about your success and talk about what led up to creating your viral video and just how life is going in general. Thank you, everybody, for listening. As always, you can check us out on YouTube. It's This, That, and the Other with Joey and Ian. Again, that's This, That, and the Other with Joey and Ian. On Instagram, it's TTATO Podcast ATL. Again, TTATO Podcast ATL. If you're searching on streaming platforms, it's This, That, and the Other with Joey and Ian. I'll say it again because I've already said it like 4 times. This, That, and the Other with Joey and Ian. Thank you again, everybody. Have a great one.